All right, people, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining us in another one here on the show. We appreciate you being here. You know, it is still happening where Jamaicans are trying to survive, and the people are doing their best to survive. You still have communities that are, shut off. And like I said in the other video or previous video, there is still a need for support. We see an overwhelming support moving in Jamaica, and that is very, very, very good. Yeah. Now we see an announcement made by World Athletics. Yeah, that the women's 100 meters at the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, they are pretty much going to be running the 100 meters on the same day. Now, does that make sense? That is the question to ask. Is that good on the athlete? That is the next question to ask. Who came up with this decision? Who were the persons in the boardroom who actually sat and really come up with something like this? Who was the person who was supposed to edit this information, to look through and, to ensure that such an information doesn't go out? I mean, were the coaches and the different federations informed? Were they okay with this decision? Was there any pushback on this decision? Because, you can see the amount of questions I'm asking, because that it doesn't make sense. And if you're a neophyte where track and field is concerned, you still would look on that and know that that cannot work. It is obviously impossible. And when I talk about the impossibilities, it is because this is not just a primary school thing. This is not. This is the elite. This is the pinnacle of track and field. And for you to have athletes running 3 rounds of high quality races in one day, that is far beyond crazy. Yeah, it is far beyond crazy. When you look at this, folks, this can be extremely taxing, Yes, I said this can also demand peak anaerobic power from the athletes. Yeah, and when this occurs 3 times in a row, it can lead to severe muscle fatigue. Can you imagine running 1 round? And that is the reason why World Athletics, the athletes don't try to push in all 3 rounds of the 100 meters. They do what it takes to qualify for the round by round by round. And if you notice, the previous world champion spoke about it in Oblique Seville. He had to do too much work in the first round. Yeah? And that can be very taxing. Yes, you might look at it and say, oh, but it is only 100 meters. Oh, for the day they're going to be doing 300 meters. In preparation, they do more than that. But in preparation, they do more than that. But most times in competition, you don't have athletes doing so much rep in one day. That is crazy. Also another thing that is going to be affected significantly is the depletion of the energy stores. Yeah. And when this happens, it puts the athlete at potentially having a high risk of injury. I mean, I ask you that. So I'm wondering, that's why I asked those questions. Who were the persons sitting at the board? Who were the persons vetting this information? Don't talk about it is only 100 meters, because 100 meters can really push an athlete's body. Oh, and the naysayers are going to say, oh, but I mean, the athletes are professional athletes. They should have prepared through that. They should have done their preparation where that is concerned. Of course they prepare. They prepare for the rounds. but not 3 on one day. That is crazy. Very, very crazy and significantly crazy. It is ultra crazy. When you do 100 meters, it push your body to a limit, especially with your depth in oxygen, that push it, that push it to extreme levels, So when you perform 3 consecutive 100-meter rounds, that is brutal. That is brutal. That affect you physically and mentally. And I'm not asking you that, folks. I am telling you, it affects you physically and it affects you mentally. You know how much physiological demand that is going to have on your body, and that is where the physical aspect comes in. To do multiple races in one day at that level, we're not talking about junior level, we're not talking about amateur level, and even at that level, let me break it down. So champs athletes at certain age, they have changed it because several coaches used to have athletes running multiple events. And they said that it would have been some of the things that attribute to, the athletes not matriculating into the senior ranks, which me know that it is not a linear action. Not because you're a child star or a champ star, it is going to bring you to be an international star. Yeah, I understand that. But the fact of the matter is, if they're having that issue at this level, the amateur level, at champs, can you imagine at the senior level? Huh? Yo, this is bull, man. May I tell you? Remember, sprinting is more so about anaerobic, if you didn't know, So you use little or no oxygen in performing that event. You know what wear and tear on your body? It push your body, it causes it to lose. So you pretty much are going at your oxygen debt whenever you do a 100 meters. You see me I say? So it is a serious thing, man. It is a serious thing. This cannot work, and I think there should be some sort of look into this situation. It cannot happen. When the body depleting, and I'm not talking about heavily depleted, during a sprint race, especially the amount of effort you put in it, Or some will say, oh, but if you're good enough, you're not going to have to run those 3 runs hard. Brian Lavelle stated that even though it didn't seem as if he was running the first round of the 200-meter fast and the second round, it was still taxing on his body. Why you think even Noah Lyles, Father Hype, cannot run sub 19.5 when him do the 100 meters 3 rounds? Check the levels, check the maths, do your research. This cannot work. I don't see how this is going to work. It is going to cause problems. It is going to cause problems. I am not asking, is it that they want to ensure that the times are not as great? What is this going to achieve? What is this going to get? What is the information is this going to gather? All I can say, this is nonsense. This is nonsense. And I say it without reservation. Somebody who study the science of the sport, I have a science background, anatomy, physiology, kinesiology. Some people say kinesiology. Same thing me I talk. Listen to me. It is too much on the body. These are the things that will cause injuries. Imagine you're just warming up and you can't get injured, right? And to think about running 3 rounds in one day, you know how much mental pressure that is alone on your body? So if you pick up a nick in the first round, and you want to get your team for work on you to ensure say the next day can come back, go through the second round, the semi-final, and prepare for the final. That is going to be difficult. Come on, World Athletics. Come on. Nothing can go so. This cannot be. This announcement is trash. These announcements need to be reversed. You see me I say? Yo, anyways, people, me go on here, man. Can't bother with this.